Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Emmanuel. Today we're going to be manipulating window styles and behaviors. So we're going to be talking about manipulation of window styles and behaviors. So before we take a step into the tutorial, make sure you smash the like button, click the subscribe button, and pop the notification bell. Now let's get into the video. Welcome back guys. I was thinking of doing this video with the code we used in the last video, so it's much fun learning this. But then I remembered I have to consider those who just come to learn something particularly, and I don't want them to get frustrated trying to learn what they are trying to understand a few other concepts where they are trying to learn what they are here to learn. So we're gonna ignore that. We're just gonna start with a new root window instead. I hope that makes sense. Now, so we're gonna start with a top level window. Of course, if I run this Ctrl B, this is a top level window. You must have seen it like your root window is a top level window. There are also other widgets, and you can also create an order, so you don't have to necessarily always have roots. So I'm going to show you how to create on that one. So we're going to come and do, let's call it top level, then we'll do tk dot. So I'm getting it from tk. We can either choose to inherit or not, and of course it will always still be inside of root. So you don't need to call any geometry managers for a top level window to show. So by running this alone, Ctrl B, now we see we have two windows. One of this is the top level and one of this is the root window. So we don't know, so I'll just click the button so we know which one is the top level window. So I'll call it top btn cable button. I might just skip this part. As you can see, I inherited from the top level, and now the button should be inside the top level and not inside. Let me run it again. Should be inside the top level and not inside the root window. Now this is the top level window I created. This is the button. Now whenever I create the cancel the root window, since this is created inside of the root window, this other one, then it will close. So if I cancel this, then it closes. As you can see, that's it about your top level window. So how do you destroy your top level window? Now I'm going to come here. Now this should be the way you also destroy your root window. You shouldn't just be using the quit. But we're going to come here and then we're going to say func1. We're going to come here and then we're going to do define func1. Now we're going to say top level dot destroy. Okay, when I click on that button, the top level is destroyed. Now if I run this now and I click on this button, it destroys it. Okay, so using the quit, just quit it. The other things you can do to just make sure it goes, withdraw it, but the destroy destroys it and destroys every other widget in it, and you can't recover it anymore. So that's what you use to destroy a top level widget window. Now this video is going to be interesting. Now we'll continue with getting and changing the title of top level window or root windows. Now how do you get the title? As you can see, if I run this, you just have tk as the title. So let's give it a new title. We're gonna say root.title, then we're gonna call it root window, then we'll leave the top level window as tk. Now if I run this, as you can see, we have that. Let me expand this. We have that to be root window, and this still remains tk. Okay, this takes root window as well, since we're inheriting from this. Okay, I wasn't expecting that though. So I do Ctrl B. Let's see. Okay, so that's for you to know that. Okay, let me run it so you see it clearly. So that's for you to know that even without inheriting from this top level, your top level still inherits from your root. As you can see, it gets the title of the root. Now that's how you set root the title for your top level windows. To override that, you just come here and do top level dot title. To override the title, given to that, and call it top level window. So it's override that, and then instead of having top root window here, you have top level window here. So I'm gonna cancel this to cancel both. Now how do you get the title? You've seen how you can set it. So how do you get the title for your top level window? I'm just gonna come and do print root.title. So if I do Ctrl B now and I click on this button, it's gonna give me the title for my root window. You see this? If I put top level here as well, it's gonna give me title from my top level. So I do Ctrl B and I click on this instead, it gives me the title for my top level window. And moreover, how do we change the size of our window and its location on our screen? This is also referred to as geometry in TKINTER. Hence, we're going to be using .geometry manager method for that. Now, if I run this now, you see this just appears anywhere scattered, but we don't want it to appear anywhere. So to do that, we're going to come and do root.geometry. Geometry has to do management of the size and location of our root window on our screen. Okay, so we're going to come here Now the way it works is you give it your width and height first. I'm going to give it a width of 500 times height of 500 or height of 700. Now if I run this, as you can see, it's really tall, so I'm just going to give it the height of 500. I just wanted to make you know that this is for the height and this is for the width, so I'm going to cancel it to 500. Now it doesn't really take this. Now for the location, we add plus, and then what location do you add by how many times you want it to offset from the x. Now if I give it 50, so I'm telling it to offset the x by 50. And if I say plus 50, I want it to offset y by 50, so it's going to be like 50 and then 50, so it will be around here, but I can't say sure. Look, this is 50 here. Okay, so it calculates it based by the top left corner. Okay, so this is 50 here. Now you can give it other things. You can give it 100, so it will be more spaced in to move further in, and then your y is going to be 50. So that's how I position it. It doesn't only take plus, you can put minus. That means you want it to be offset from the right. You want it to offset 100 from the right instead. So if I do Ctrl B, offsets 100 from the right. And so by this place, this is where it offsets 100 to. And the still offset is 50. So if I do offset, change it to minus 50, the same thing happens. It offsets 50 from the bottom. Okay. What if I give it 10 here? As you can see, it goes beneath my stacks bar, so it's somewhere around here. That's how it works. Instead, I'm just gonna give it plus 100 plus 100. So this location has to do with the corners, the edges. So this will be top left corner if you do plus, top left corner, and if you do minus x for the minus x, okay, this one here gonna be from the top right, from the right edge, but it's gonna be based on the top right corner. And like that applies for your y too. The same thing applies your y here for the plus, and your minus your y at the bottom. Okay, so that's how it works. Now let's do something a little fun or just a little logical. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try centering our window to the center of our screen automatically. It doesn't matter what the size of your screen is, we're just gonna do that. Now you're beginning to wonder how we're gonna even do that without hard coding values. So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. We're gonna say, you know what, we're gonna come here, then we're gonna say root screen width, we're gonna set that to 0. We're gonna screen height, we're gonna set that to 0 as well. And then we're gonna set our width equals to 0 or 500, and our height equals to the height of our window equals to 500. Now to get the width of your screen, okay, so once we get that, the problem is solved. Okay, so to get the width of your screen, all you have to do is just come here and do root does the Windows info, and then what do you want to get? When you get your screen width. So I'm going to do the same thing for this, root dot win info. So instead of screen width, it's going to be screen height. That's how I get it. Now I'm going to print it so we can see it down here, screen width and screen height. So if I do Ctrl B, you can see for this wind. Who do you know the size of my screen? This is it here, 1366 and 768. That's the size of my screen. I'm using a laptop. So I'm going to do Ctrl B now. We get the same thing anyway. So that's what we're going to be using to calculate placing our window at the center. So how do we do this? We're going to come here. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Now, we want our window to be, let's use an F string here. So we want our window to, the width to be width. So whenever we change the width, it's always width times height, okay, plus. Now if I do this Ctrl B, you still have the width and height, okay, you still have the width and height. And if I do plus, so I want it to offset. Now how do you want it to offset? The way we to offset is we're going to offset in a way that, okay, Ctrl B, if I just put the screen width and screen height, of course it will just be at the bottom left right corner here. And what I want to happen is I want this code to take my screen width into consideration. So I'm going to divide my screen width to 2, so it will be 2, and I want to divide my screen height to 2, so this will be the center around here. Now if I place my widgets there, then the top left corner is what's gonna be there, not the middle. So we're gonna do that, and then I'm just gonna do that and explain it so you guys don't get lost in the calculation process. There's nothing really much. What we're gonna do is we'll create another variable here and call it offset x equals to 0, offset y equals to 0. Now what this will be is gonna be screen width divided by 2, and this one is gonna be screen height divided by 2. Now if I should just put it plus and do this plus this, so if I just put my offset x here and offset y here, this might return an error because this here doesn't take in floats. Okay, so as you can see, it's past a float here, 683.384. So this float doesn't take in float. So let's convert this to an integer. We're gonna convert that to an integer. So if you don't want to, if you just want to see how this is done and continue the video, you can just skip it, check the timeline and skip to the point after this. So we're gonna do contribute now, and now this is the center of my screen, but this is not where I want it to be. So the top level, you know, it calculates whatever I give it here is where your top left corner is gonna be. Okay, so it's somewhere around. This is the middle of the screen. Now I don't want it to put my window here, but I want my center of my window to be here. So how do I do that? Now I need to shift my window half of the width. So if I want it the center to be here, okay, so let's say this way, I'm gonna shift this up. So I'm gonna shift my window up halfway, so that will be half of the width height, and then I'm gonna shift it to the left from x halfway, so we can have the middle here. That's half of the width as well. So what I'm doing essentially is instead of having the top edge corner here, I'm bringing it to the center. So when I bring it to the center, that means I'll be going offset, subtracting half of my width to bring that to bring the x to the center, and half of my height to bring the y to the center. So we're gonna see how that works. So we're gonna come and do minus. Now that will be my width. So I want to subtract this screen width from, okay, divided by 2 from, that's the center, from the width, the width of my screen width. Okay, and then we're gonna do minus the screen of this, the width height of my screen. Now remember, we say we're gonna divide it by 2, so divided by 2 and then divided by 2. So I do contribute now, divided by 2. So this is it, this is where it comes in. Okay, we didn't talk about divided by 2 there. If I do contribute screen height, so let's just do this first and then what's going on. Let me run it again. I can't find my top. What's going on? Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be my width. Pardon me. This is supposed to be my height. Sorry about that. So I'm going to control B. So width and height. Now this is minus my width and height. So if I do minus my width and height, just goes. But remember, we just want to go half of the width and half of the height. So that'll be width divided by 2, and this is divided by 2. If I do it like this now, so now instead of my top left corner being here, my top left corner is going to move half away from the center from my x, half away from my x, and half away from my y. So the top left corner is going to up here and make sure the center of my window is at the center of the screen. So if you don't understand, I just watch that again. It's easy. So just look at this a couple of times and you should get it. So that's it for that. So you don't have to learn it. It's just a way of showing you if you want your window to always be at the center of your screen. Now we can also set the minimum size and width of our window. So I'm going to come here and say root.min size. You notice the variable, the names for the methods are just so descriptive. So I can say that I want the minimum size to be 200 and minimum width to be 200 and minimum height to be 200, and I want the maximum size. So the maximum width is going to be 600 and maximum height is going to be 600. So if I do Control B, and if I try to reduce this below 200, it's not going to work. You see, this is 200 by 200. If I try to increase it above 600, it's not going to work. You see, we can't even increase it above that. If I press this, this is 600 by 600. This is the maximum size. You see that? So that's how you do that. So you don't your screen, your app always shows the whole full content and it doesn't just takes too much space on your screen. Anyway, you must have seen a case where some windows just maintain a top position even if they are not active. I mean, they stay on top of other widgets even while inactive. For example, if I do Control B, There are sometimes where you'll be clicking on this window and this will still be showing up, although it's going to be inactive. So well, that has to do with the stacking of that of windows. We're going to see how to do that as well. I'm going to come here, then we're going to say, you know what, okay, before we go into that, we're going to do this. We're going to say root.attribute, and then we're going to say topmost. So you have to put a minus there, topmost, and then put true. So they are saying you want it to be the topmost widget, okay, your root. So no other widget can be on top of it, or no other window. So if I click on this, no, I've tried to bring this, you notice it's going to be beneath it. And by the way, this, when you use the topmost, it doesn't just affect TKINTER windows. This can come on top of it, as you can see. This is active. If you notice, I can type in here. So this is the topmost, and nothing can bring it down except to minimize it. Okay, so that's how it works. The topmost window. So you can also make your window kind of transparent. So that would be alpha. And if I say alpha, this takes in a number from 0 to 1. So if I do 0.9, that'll be slightly transparent. As you can see, we can see the background where I give 0.5 half. Okay, as you can see, kind of transparent, even though it's active. You see that. Now if I give it 0.1, almost invisible, can hardly see it. And 1 means it's just just takes the full color. Okay, no invisibility. Alpha, that's what the alpha is used for, to give it a level of transparency. So we can perform much more with the .attribute method. Okay, this was what I was going to do before. So we're going to print, you know how much more you can do. We're going to do print root.state. From the state we'll see what we have. So if I do Control B, so I click on this now, okay, now state is normal. Okay, that's not what I was going to do though. We're going to clear this. So as you can see, we can check the state of our window, which means you can also disable your window. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put a wrong value, and that's one thing I like about TKINTER. Okay, no cap. So if I do Control B now, it's going to tell me I cannot use this, and these are the only things I can use. So for example, we have alpha. So it says alpha takes in a double, which is known as float in Python. I guess that's the point numbers. This is 0.1 alpha. Transparent color, this is one thing, it takes in a color. So this is disabled, it takes in a boolean. So when you see this here, this is the property, and this is the value it takes in. Bool, full screen, so you can make it full screen, bool, and much more. So your topmost bool, true or false. Okay, boolean. Now that means if I come here and do disabled, it takes in a boolean. So 1 is the same thing as true, and 0 is, so I just leave the 1 there. If I do Control B now, you notice my window is disabled. I don't know if you hear that sound. My window is disabled. Okay, and I'm gonna, wow, I can't even close it anymore. So if you are on Windows, just do Control Shift Escape or Control Delete and then click on Task Manager. But the shortcut is Control Shift Escape. But for Mac users, honestly, I don't know what the shortcut is, but I'm just gonna close this from here. So just close Python. You can search for it on Google if you are using Mac or Linux, but Task Manager on Windows should do that for you. You should close it. Now we're going to talk about changing position of our windows relative to each other using the lift and the lower. So the difference between this and the .attributes method. So the difference between this is you can use your cursor to change the positions manually. So if I lift a window higher than another window, I can say use my cursor to bring it below another window. So for example, if let's like I use topmost, even if this is active, it should still be on top. But with this lift and lower, once I click on this, it just goes beneath. Okay, it's just like setting the initial state of your windows. So we're gonna see how that works. We're gonna come here. You know what? So whenever we click on this button, this top level button here, we're gonna say root the lower. Okay, so I do Control B. Now, oh damn, I forgot. Control Shift Escape. Heck no. So I'm gonna close this Python. I forgot to remove the state of disabled. So I'm gonna change this to alpha, and then I'm gonna change this to 0. Let's just leave it as 1 anyway. Doesn't mean now if I bring this here. Okay, I'm gonna try to increase the size of this. Now we can't see this because root the lower Now if I click on this, remember now this is kind of on top of the root. So if I do like this, root the lower, remember as you can see our root, it doesn't show anymore. What actually happened is our root is now beneath every other window on this, on my PC now. So if I minimize this, and minimize this, let me minimize this as well. Then you see we're gonna see our root window. So that's root the lower, it takes it beneath every other window. I'm gonna bring this back up. What if I do root the lower and then I pass in top level? So it's just gonna be beneath the top level. So if I let me expand this. Now if I do top level, now it just goes beneath the top level only. So that's how it works. You can also do raise, but since the raise is a reserved keyword in Python, they use lift instead. So if I do root the lift top level and I do this, so anytime I click on this, okay, it just stays above, is lifted above the top level. So the same thing applies if I don't put anything here, it's going to be above every other window. So if I come here, okay, okay, now if I click on this, now it's above every other window. If I do this, it goes back to normal. Okay, so that's what I was talking about. You can do this manually with your cursor. That's the difference between the topmost and lift and lower. Okay, so that is it. Yeah, I remember one shortcut you can also use. So there's one thing I remember now. If I come here, duplicate this, highlight it and do Ctrl+Shift+D. Okay, Ctrl+Shift+D and bring this, oh my goodness, Ctrl+Shift+arrow down to bring this down. So we're gonna do is change this to 1 and change this to 1. I'm gonna add 1 to this as well. So we're gonna remove a function from this. I want to show you something real quick. I'm gonna put this arrow equals to 0 and colon equals to 0, and then row equals to 0 colon, which means if I do Ctrl B now, the two buttons are here, but top BT1 is on top of top BTN. Okay, so that's one thing in my experience while using grid, you put them on the same location, row and colon. Now how do you make sure your top BTN comes up after a while? So you can choose to bring it up when you click by putting a function in this, and whenever I click on it, you raise it up beneath this. But one other thing you can do is, while I was doing my research on this video, I saw this. Honestly, I've not seen it before. I'm gonna be honest. So what you do is root the after, so you pass in this seconds. So if I do 1000, so that's 1000 seconds. I guess that's in milliseconds. Okay, so if I do 2000, that's 2000 seconds. Now we're gonna say after 2000 seconds, let's use a lambda here instead of putting in a function. So we're gonna say lambda, then we're gonna say root, okay, not root, we're gonna say top btn this dot lift. Okay, so when it is 2000, we lift it up. So if I do Ctrl B and then we come here, okay, it was too quick, so let me put 5 seconds there. If I do Ctrl B, now after 5 seconds, you notice this changes to btn. Okay, just one more. Okay, as you can see, it changes to btn, and now that one is beneath it. So that's one usefulness of this. Okay, at least we've learned how to perform an operation before, after some seconds, and then we know how to use the lifts and the dot lower. Now let's have a look at turning your window into an icon, or maybe minimizing it. Depends on how you see it, reversing the operation and withdrawing your window. So now that might seem confusing, but don't worry, it's not that confusing. We're gonna talk about that now, and instead I'm gonna put this on :1, and then we're gonna put a new command here. You know what, I'm gonna put this in root. Okay, so we're gonna have that in root instead. If I do Ctrl B, it's gonna be in root. Okay, so I'm just gonna press escape to bring that down. We're gonna copy this. Let's copy this here. Ctrl V. Okay, we're gonna change this to function 2. So this will be in the second window, and function 1, so I don't get confused there. Now, okay, let's create function 2 first. Define func2. Now what I'm gonna comment this. I think I've been using tabs for a while now, so I'm gonna come here and do convert indentation to spaces. Ctrl C, Ctrl S to save that. And whenever I click on this button here, which is function 1, which calls function 1, I want to iconify my root windows. So I want to do root window dot iconify. So that sort of turns this into an icon. So what you can see, that's minimizing it. So if I do this, it just goes down. But it turns it as icon. As you can see, this is it here. I can bring it back up. Now I'm gonna come in. So if I click on this other button, I'm gonna de-iconify it. So I'm gonna say root.de-iconify. So I do Control B now. So I click on this, it goes, and if I click on this, it brings it back up to the same position where it was. That's what the de-iconify and iconify does essentially. Change this to an icon and brings it back up. So what of the withdraw? So what I'm gonna do is, if I click on this, okay, so we're gonna, let me comment this so we don't confuse with that. So if I click on this, you know what, let's put both buttons inside the root. So we'll just do all with all of that. What's the error? Okay, yeah, there has to be a pass. There's nothing here. We're gonna put this in colon 1, Control B. So this is function 1, I guess. Function 1 top. Okay, let me change to function 1 and function 2. Sorry guys, sorry about that. So this is function 1 and this is function 2. Now whenever I click on function 1, I want to withdraw this window. So I'm clicking on function 1, I'm gonna do toplevel.withdraw. I want you guys to really understand what withdraw is. So I do Control B and I click on this. So it withdraws it. We can't even see it down here, but it still exists. Now how do we bring it back? We can bring it back by just calling either de-iconify or iconify. Now the difference between bringing it back with both is, if I call it with de-iconify, it's going to bring it back as an icon, but iconify is going to bring it back up. So if I do top level dot de-iconify, I'm going to clear this, Control L to highlight the line and clear that. So I do Control B. Now if I click this, it withdraws it. Now this one de-iconifies it. Okay, de-iconifies bring it back up. Why if I call iconify, sorry about that, iconify, I think that was the same thing I said though. So if I do iconify, if I withdraw, the iconify is going to bring it back as an icon. Okay, so it's down there already. But as you can see, the iconify, so that's the difference between both of them. Not much. And then you can also change the icon of your the icon here of your window. So how do you do that? We're just gonna come here. That's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna Control Windows E there, go to Windows desktop, rather I said Windows desktop, YT code TKINTER. So this is the image you're gonna change into the icon. We're gonna come here. All you have to do is just come to ico.convert.com. Now if you come there, it's gonna bring you to this site. Now we're gonna upload our image here. Okay, let's see if we can drag that. So one change, we're gonna upload. Oh my, you know what, we're just gonna choose file instead. Go to desktop, IT code. So if I click on that, now we've uploaded it. Now let's upload it. We're just choosing the image. Now image has been uploaded. Okay, this is it here, it's shown. Okay, now what style do you want to apply to it? So let's make it this. Okay, so I've chosen the style, and now we're gonna convert ICO. So wait a minute. So it has converted. Now we're gonna download our image. It has downloaded. So we're gonna save as. So we're gonna save it in here. We're gonna say arrow underscore ICO. Oh my goodness, it's saving it as a zip file. Why? Let's see, something is shouldn't save it as a zip file. Anyway, let's just save it that way. So we're gonna save it here, save it. Okay, we're gonna minimize this. Let's come back here. ICO. I'm gonna come here. It's good. Let's extract. Okay, show more options, extract files. Enter to extract that. So this is the image. Oh, something is wrong here. Why is this separate? Anyway, let's just use this as an icon. I think it should work. It worked the first time I tried it out. But we're gonna just paste this in here. So I do Control B, Control V here. We're gonna change this to arrow icons. So if I override, you can see it's an icon. That's the name of the file. See the icon file is an icon. We're gonna come here. Now all you have to do to change this is just come and do root dot icon bits map. Okay, and then you pass in the file name or the path to the file. Okay, so we're gonna do arrow icon dot icon. So I do Ctrl B. Now as you can see, that is the icon there. It even has a shadow there. So that's how you change the icon of your window. That's it guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, then you should give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on my next epic content. Much love guys. Peace out.